with you holding. You know, it don't went to that point because like, dang, I can't get it at the house, but yet somebody out here in the world want. That's what you leading to. Are you leading him to that, or he's leading you onto that? You know what I mean? But go ahead, verse 6.
But I speak this by permission and not of command.
Now you see what Paul is. He made a disclaimer now. He letting you know is that like, hey, I speak this by permission and not of command. What he about to say in this 7th verse? Go ahead.
For I would that all men were even as myself.
Go ahead.
But every man have his proper gift of God, one after this manner and another after that.
Go ahead.
I say therefore to the unmarried and widowed, it is good for them if they abide even as I.
So you know, Paul getting that like, hey, you know, he ain't really speaking against marriage between a man and a woman, but hey, you know, be like me myself. You know, I'm married to the Lord. You know what I mean? That's what he's getting at. But again, he's not belittling marriage between a man and a woman. He's just letting you know is that, you know, be like even I myself. I'm married to the Lord. I ain't got to worry about these situations. But skip down to verse 11 because that's what we came in for.
But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried.
I'm sorry. Read verse 10 and then we'll go into it.
And unto the married I command, yet not I,
so
but
Paul,
the Lord.
So now Paul is letting you know it's not like, yet not I, but the Lord. Go ahead.
Let not the wife depart from her husband.
So the wife, she can't depart from her husband. Go ahead, verse 11.
But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband.
So if she depart, you know, because we saw in that way, that Hebrews chapter 13 is like to the adulterers, like the Lord gonna deal with them. You know what I mean? Like, okay, her husband committed adultery. Guess what? The Lord gonna deal with him. Shoot, the Lord might kill him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now guess what happened? Romans chapter 7 just went into play. Because now he dead. So now by him being dead, that don't lose stuff in the marriage.
Right.
You know what I mean? I remember Elijah telling the situation about this some years ago, about how a sister, you know, she just ran into getting married because she wanted to get married real quick. And she married the dude that wasn't in the word, and he was just all tripping, and she was cold-heartedly committed to him. And he was just tripping, like, in the whole marriage and everything, found out he was dead. They found him dead somewhere. You know what I mean? So she had been already coming to him about the situation, like, oh, he doing this, doing that. And Elijah's like, well, you should have waited on the Lord. Well, guess what the Lord did? The Lord had him killed. Now removed her from the whole marriage. So now she lose from that. So we see is that even the Lord said in that Hebrews chapter 13 is that whoremongers and adulteries, they're going to be judged. But we see right here, we see is that the Lord is saying that, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried.
Right.
All right, go ahead, finish that up.
Go
on, I'm sorry.
But and if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife.
So he can't put her away. Like we saw in what Jesus said, what he has put together, let no man put asunder. So now we see is that even, you know, Paul letting you know is that like, hey man, don't put your wife away. All right, but what it say in verse 13 though?
And the woman which have an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
So let her not leave him.
Now you remember.
You know what I mean? So in other words, like, hey, my wife, let's say I ain't in the word, but she in the word. You know what I mean? But yet, hey, I want to dwell with my wife, then I shouldn't leave. And vice versa. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm in the word, my wife not in the word, and she plays the dweebs with me, like, don't put her away. You know what I mean? Because what it say in verse 12, though? What it say in that verse?
But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away.
Don't put her away. Go ahead, verse 13.
And the woman which have an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him.
So don't split. Go ahead, verse 14.
For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife.
You see that? The unbelieving husband is
children unclean.
Wife or the believing husband. Because now they sanctified through the believing wife. Because what? she dealing with the word. You know what I mean? She dealing with the word. The husband ain't dealing with the word, but yet he desired to dwell with her. Now she don't made him sanctified.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Even along to the children, and vice versa. But we see is that the wife, like, she ain't supposed to get remarried if, you know what I mean? If she get put, even if the husband, even if the husband get caught up in what we was talking about, the adultery.
Isn't there another spot that even states that states like, because for whatever reason I remember it's saying that a man, though, if the woman commits adultery,
Right.
a man could go get remarried.
Hold on, say that again.
If the woman commits adultery, that the
Right.
man can go and remarry.
Yeah, the man could, like, well, let's finish reading this.
Okay.
Let's read on verse 13. I'm sorry.
15 is the next verse.
Yeah, 15.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases, but God hath called us to peace.
So God has called them to peace. If they decide to depart, like, let them depart. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, shoot, if the unbelieving husband want to leave, let him leave.
What does that do to the woman then? She can't remarry, right?
I'm saying, the Lord just said in what verse 15, what he said, what? It says, a brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So, you know,
wow.
this.
Dang. Okay.
So what
But that's kind of a different
So this
situation.
bondage is talking about marriage.
But that's dealing with believing in the unbeliever.
Right, exactly.
Not adultery and fornication.
Nah, not at all. Exactly. That's exactly what this is about, right?
Because we see that in the church where there's a man and maybe his wife doesn't believe,
Right.
but stays in the marriage.
Exactly.
And so he can't just run away from that. He needs
Right.
to stay with her. But if she parted her way, he can go about his way. Is what I'm
That's what that's saying in that verse
Right.
15.
Okay.
Uh,
But that's a totally different story from fornication and
yeah, that's
being a
completely
woman.
different. I mean, because even with the fornication, like even when you got, let's say if you got on a situation where the husband is committing fornication, that ain't giving the woman the blue light or the red light to leave.
right.
You know what I mean? Because that's why we read the Hebrews chapter 13. You know what I mean? What's your question?
So if a man can go, this ain't my question that has to do with the rest of it either.
Mm-hmm.
So if a man can go out and fornicate and a woman can't leave, at what point is it adultery and she can't leave?
You said what point is it adultery?
Yeah. If he can go out and fornicate without it being adultery, at what point is it adultery?
Well, let's go look at what
Or it's
adultery is.
wrong?
Let's because adultery. When you say adultery,
So she would have to be a married woman in order for it to be adultery for the man?
yeah, that's what it would have to be.
So
Otherwise
he can sleep with all the single women he wants.
But that's
Well,
fornicating.
that's
It's
right.
like there's no room for that either.
But I'm saying you said the man can fornicate without committing adultery.
The man can commit fornication because they're not the same.
That's what I'm saying. That's my question. So
Right.
a man can fornicate without committing adultery.
Yeah, because they're not the same.
But that's not justifying. That's
No,
not
it's not
justifying the action.
No, it's not at all.
Absolutely
No, I
not.
get it.
Because you got to realize, it's like, in adultery, the woman. See, and I said, what the Western world has taught is that the man is the possession, and just quite frank, that's not the case. When you look at the beginning, when you look at Adam and Eve, when you look at how God said, let's go and read that real quick. Let's go and look at the beginning real quick. Adultery and fornication is one. Adultery is between a married woman belonging to a married man and me, single, going to sleep with this married man's wife. I just committed adultery. But that's even along the lines when Jesus said what he said pertaining to like, if your eye offend thee, pluck it out. But before that, he was saying something along the lines as, we'll read that. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. That's in, I think it's in Matthew.
Matthew, when he talking about
things that offend your right hand.
Right, or if you look on a woman and lust or whatever, like you've already committed adultery in your heart. Well, how can that be? How can that apply to, let's say, two single couples? Like, how can that apply to, you know, Tim that's single in the back and Tiffany that's single in the back, and he looking on her not lusting, but he looking on her in an attractive vibe? How can adultery apply to them two when neither one of them are married? They both single. Exactly, it don't apply. That applies to me lusting over you. You belong to him.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Now I'm looking at you like, dang, Terica look nice in that shirt. You know what I mean? Not saying that's what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is that's when Jesus said, now you commit adultery in your heart because you belong to him. I shouldn't be looking at you. That's why the dress code is so strict according to the Bible, is because now when you walk around here all provocative, being a married woman, now you causing another person to fly off on the antenna like, dang, you got to be doing all that. You know what I mean? When it shouldn't even be that. It should be like, I need to carry myself modest so I don't cause another man to fall in error because I belong to another man. You know what I mean?
Because they are your brothers and your sisters, and you don't try to have sex with your brother and your sister.
Right. Yeah.
You're looking at them as your sister. That's my sister. So
Yeah.
I'm not looking at her sexually.
Depends on what time of year we're talking about. In the beginning, they was having sex with their brother.
That was just for the cat. That was just for that time. That was it. Nah, that just
No,
occurred for a
because me
little
and him had a
while.
whole
I know she being,
conversation on that.
she being silly right now. Yeah. But anyhow, let's go look at this Genesis real quick. Genesis chapter 3. And let's pick it up at
3.
Yeah, Genesis chapter 3. And let's pick it up at verse 20. Hold on. And sweat our faith unto Adam, our wife. His wife did the Lord make coat of skin. Sweat our faith. Adam called his wife Eve because she was.
You probably want Genesis 2.
That's where it's at. When the Lord cursed him and said.
No, the curse was in 3. 2 is when he brought them together.
No, I'm looking for the curse then.
Okay, that would be 3, and like you looking for the punishment.
Adam does the argument to the voice of the Lord command.
15.
Yeah, here you go. 17, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, 17. Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply the sorrow. No, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Pick it up at Genesis chapter 3, and we'll just get right to it. 16.
Unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee.
And nobody don't want to accept this. Now, we're not saying that the husband's going to rule over his wife with hard rigor and a rod of iron, but now there's a level. So that's why when you go on, you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 11, you look at the order as to how God is the head covering of Jesus, Jesus is the head covering of man, and man is the head covering of the woman. So that's even dealing with the structure of the household. But we still dealing with fornication and adultery. So we see right here in this Genesis chapter 3 and 16, we see is that equal rights has been taken off the table. There's no equalness between Adam and Eve. God just said, guess what? You know, childbearing, he said what? In sorrow thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Let's go look at the commandment real quick. Let's go look at Exodus 20. Because, yeah, we look, again, not justifying adultery nor fornication. But there is a difference. Like, adultery is just an offroot of fornication. That's all it is. Like, it falls, there's many different categories that fall up under fornication. You got same-sex marriage, that falls under fornication. You got bestiality, that falls up under fornication. You got adultery, that falls up under fornication. So there are many different strings of fornication. But right, that's fornication, spiritual. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But what we see is that like adultery physically is not the same as fornication, because you can fix fornication. You know what I mean? Like, you sleep with this sister, she's single. Like, hey, you know what? Let's go tie the knot. Let's go get married, get legal. You know, let's legalize this. You know what I mean? Let's go ahead and legitimize it. Let's go to the courthouse, do whatever we need to do, so that we ain't got to be condemned by God.
That's in the law, actually. You go read in what is that? Deuteronomy.
Yeah, it is.
Deuteronomy.
Yeah, when you take the
One man get caught with a woman.
Yeah, let's go read that. You finna go get your Bible?
No, I'm turning AC back up.
Are you cold? Let's go read that before we go and read it. Yep, Deuteronomy chapter I got you right here. Might need to get it though.
No, it's in Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy. Yeah, Deuteronomy 22 and verse 20.
This is how the Lord fixed the
Fornication. Just you land with, you know what I mean? Just land with a sister, not wanting to marry. No, you can fix it, but you can't fix adultery.
Well, actually, he did fix it. He fixed it with a pile of rocks.
That's
You pile of rocks
and stone him to death.
You throw them rocks at him until he's dead.
Right.
That's how you fix it.
The husband, the man and the woman.
Yeah, you have to do both of them. You can't do
Yeah.
one.
So yeah, that's how they fix it.
That's how
They
they
put
fix it.
evil from amongst them. You know, but as far as in fornication, that could be
No,
altered.
this right here is dealing with this is where he's dealing with adultery.
No, it's in the whole one. It's at the end of it.
Yeah, right. It's at the end part. That's right. 20.
25, something like that, 24 or 25. When it says, but if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field.
No, 28. That's where it is. 28.
Okay.
This is how it is. The Lord fixed fornication amongst the people.
Let's jump right to it. We ain't even got to read through all the rest of it because, you know, it's talking about. Well, you know what? Let's do read through it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do read through it. Let's pick it up at verse 20. 22 and 20. Go ahead, bro.
But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel.
Now this is why Jesus was saying what he was saying in that Matthew, that we just Matthew 19, when he was talking about how, you know, Moses gave you the decree for divorce. Because this is what was going on. You know what I mean? Like they thought they was marrying them a damsel or a virgin. They went into her, you know, her token of virginity. What happened to her? She ain't no virgin. So now, you know, they don't lay with her. So now they want to put her away because that they found. So that's why they found that it wasn't true.
She lied.
That she lied. She wasn't a virgin. But like you already done came into her. That same thing that took place with Jacob. Yeah, he could have put her away. But in my mind, I'm thinking that he understood this. And that's the reason why he just wrote. That's just me. I ain't saying that's what the book say. That's just me. That's why I feel like Jacob still decided to keep, Leah. He decided to keep Leah. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? But right here just said what? But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, verse 21.
Then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones that she die.
Because she being a hoe.
Because she had wrought folly in Israel to play a whore in her father's house, so shalt thou put evil away from among you.
And that's how they got rid of evil. You know, she playing the harlot. She walking around here talking about she a virgin. Come to find out, you lying. So now they gonna stone her. What is it in 22 though?
If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lie with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Israel.
And that's what the brother was just saying. That's the way you fix that. This is adultery right here. You fix that with a bunch of rocks. You know what I mean? You kill them, and what you don't do? You don't put away evil from Israel. But what it say in verse 23 though?
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her.
Now betrothed means you got a commitment going on.
Engaged.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? They didn't come together sexually. They just made an agreement or engagement. That's what it means when it says betrothal. But it says, and if a man find her in the city and lie with her, go ahead.
Then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of that city, and ye shall stone them with stones, that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he hath humbled his neighbor's wife. So thou shalt put away evil from among you.
So thou shalt. Now, I may have made it seem as if like betroth isn't marriage, but it is. You know what I mean? Because that's what Joseph and Mary did. Like, they didn't have sex. So we see right here that just took place. Like, they stoned the woman because guess what? She was enjoying the pleasure. She didn't shout out. She didn't be like, hey, this guy just humbled me. Nah, she was cool with it. So that's why the Lord, that's why it says that, like, what? It says, and she didn't cry out because she cried not. She didn't say nothing. She was cool with it.
But she was engaged.
She was engaged to somebody else.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So what? She playing the harlot. That's what that boiled down to. So they stoned him and the woman. Mm-hmm. But what it said in verse 25 though?
But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lie with her shall die.
So he raped her. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He took it.
Yeah.
That's what he did. Like, he forced himself, and hey, she cried out. Hey, the man's the only one who's gonna deal with the punishment.
Pile of rocks for him.
Yeah, he gets stoned. 26.
But unto the damsel thou shalt do nothing. There is in the damsel no sin worthy of death.
Exactly. Go ahead.
For as when a man rises against his neighbor and slayeth him, even so is this matter.
Go ahead.
For he found her in the field, and the betrothed damsel cried, and there was no one to save her.
So she cried out, but nobody came to her rescue. Nobody was there to save her. You know what I mean? But go ahead.
If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed.
So now we're looking at a woman that's single.
Single.
A single woman. Not betrothed, not committed to nobody, not engaged to nobody. Go ahead.
And lay hold on her and lie with her, and they be found.
So they fornicating. That's really what's going on. You know what I mean? They just fornicating. Go ahead. And now if somebody don't found them fornicating, go ahead.
Then the man that lie with her shall give unto the damsel father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. He may not put her away all his days. So
now we see that there is a difference between adultery and fornication. We saw is that what? In verse 24, it said that what? If a man found a betrothed virgin in the field and he lie with her and she don't say nothing, well, they gonna die. Him and her. Because she was another man's wife. But now we see is that we got a we got a virgin in the field that has not been betrothed. She's single. And if a man finds in the field and he lie with her, no, they ain't gonna be stoned. He just gotta get a daddy some money. He gotta get a daddy some money. And then now that's his wife, and he'll never be able to put away all his days. That's the difference between the two. Between fornication and adultery. What you got?
Now with that situation, with the damsel that's not betrothed, the man is not married, you're saying it's still fornication. Is that because they didn't make an agreement first?
Yes.
Or they just had sex first, basically?
Just if you dating, you meet somebody, you like each other, y'all lay down with each other. Cart for the horse.
Yep.
Okay.
You just fix it.
And that's why Paul said what he said in that what's that? 1 Corinthians? Or was that Romans? That was in 1 Corinthians. I think it was Romans chapter 6 or 1 Corinthians, where he said, flee from fornication. He said to avoid touching a woman.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right, because it can.
It don't have to. Well, it can happen.
It can lead to that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man, y'all just y'all homeboys and homegirls, but y'all get caught in the heat of the moment.
So what actually makes it? Because this has just been so confusing. Like, coming to the word, like, what makes them engaged then? Like, I thought them coming together made them married, but you're saying that's fornication right now. What do they need to do to make the woman betrothed? Like,
that's the engagement.
When you get engaged,
is that where like
that's
the
words.
man goes to her father,
or family?
Yeah.
hey, we love each other, we want to be married. She's promised to me she's not gonna deal with nobody else. I'm not gonna deal with nobody else.
But the act of them coming together does not make them married. That's
That
fornication.
does, no, that does. That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying, putting the cart before the horse.
Right. But so it was fornication, but now he needs to just stay with her.
Right. He need the way you can avoid this being fornication is by taking the husband 50 shekels of silver, and now the husband, because the proper way is going to the husband. Okay, going to her father, and
or family,
or family.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So now you going to them, presenting this cause to them. Hey, I love your daughter, or niece, or whatever. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, we want to be husband and wife.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But nowadays, you know, that ain't always the case. You know what I mean? Like the brother, hey, you putting the cart before the horse. You're going in between the sheets before making a covenant.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now what that ass did was, that don't fast forward the covenant. When y'all don't came together and don't exchange blood. Like, that don't fast forward the covenant. And now, the way to do that is to just go ahead and all the way through with it. Okay, we finna get married, and the only thing that's gonna be able to separate us is death.
Right.
You know what I mean? But verbal, that's why we saw in what the 23rd verse is that the damsel that is a virgin be betrothed into an husband. That means it was verbally engaged to another man to be his wife. Like, they didn't come together. Like, even when you look at Joseph and Mary, like, that was Joseph's wife before they even came together.
Right.
Because she was betrothed to him. So now, even in this same case, we see is that the betrothed virgin